Attention Sagittarius, Virgos, Gemini, and Pisces. And why exactly those 4 signs? Because Saturn, the Lord of Karma, and the planet of testing, and the planet of changes, is coming into a sign, is going into Sagittarius, and from there it will directly influence with a very strong aspect Sagittarius. Second by influence will be Gemini, which is opposite Sagittarius, and after that Virgo and Pisces. Virgo and Pisces to a little bit less, maybe 20% less, but definitely all these 4 signs will be coming at a crossroad in life. We'll be feeling the influence of Saturn over the next 3 years, 2015, 2016, and 2017, while Saturn is in the sign of Sagittarius, which directly affects you all. And this is for everyone who was born in those signs, when the sun was in those signs, or if the moon was in those signs when they were born. And you can find out, because we do not consist only of the sun sign, we consist also of moon sign, which shows our emotional world, our personal life, our even emotional relationships, and the ascendant sign, which shows our physical health and our path in life, and what we encounter on our path in life as we're following our destiny. So you see, you have to check these 3 signs and see in case you have any of those ascendant, sun or moon. Everyone knows their sun sign. If you're born in, the beginning of March, you're Pisces probably. No, you are for sure sun in Pisces. But anyway, you can find out your sun, ascendant, and moon from my birth chart calculator at astrolada.com. I'm putting a link here. And you can go straight there, fill in your details. But you need to know your time of birth at least within 10-15 minutes if you want to have your exact ascendant. And if you want to know the exact degree of your moon sign as well. And if any of those, the ascendant, moon, or sun, and you can see if you have the ascendant, sun, or moon in those 4 signs that I mentioned, by going to the planetary detail table, planetary detail table, and it shows the ascendant, the sun, the moon, its sign, and degrees. And I'll be talking also about degrees. So what happens? Oh, you can check if you have Venus in case in Virgo, in Sagittarius, in Gemini, or in Pisces. Venus is the planet of relationships and love. So if Saturn affects it, Saturn will impart to you in the next 2-3 years at a certain period the lessons of karmas. You reap what you have sown. So let's first speak about what is Saturn about. Saturn, as I said, is the Lord of Karma. Basically, when Saturn comes around, it's a payback time. We reap what we have sown. And it can be a fantastic gift for some of us, but for those of us who have unclear conscience, for those of us who have not done something right, who basically have not put the necessary effort and hard work, as Saturn rules hard work, and if in the previous 7 years you have been taking your time, not doing your best, living it all up and large rather than being, doing what is required, your responsibilities and duties, rather than if you've been taking shortcuts rather than the tried and tested but socially acceptable path and morally acceptable path, which is much longer and much harder and arduous. But if you've been doing shortcuts and maybe the fate has been more, kind to you and has given you a ride, let's say, a free ride, as they say. Now when Saturn comes around, this will no longer be the case. But if you've been working hard, because Saturn is the planet of hard work, he's the hard taskmaster. He comes around, and it's not during those 3 years that this happened. It happens for about 7-8 months or about 1 year. And I'll tell you, for those of you who are born in what days, or what ascendant sign or moon sign degrees that you're going to feel which year exactly Saturn that I'm talking about. Let me start first with those of you. Let me just first say this. For Sagittarius, Saturn will be the strongest taskmaster, the strongest lessons, and the strongest reaping time and payback time and new direction and changes in responsibilities. Those of you Sagittarius will feel it in 2015, if you're born from around the 23rd of November to around the 1st or 2nd of December, maybe a day or two plus or minus, because Sagittarius in 2015 is in the first 10 degrees. Sorry, Saturn is in the first 10 degrees of Sagittarius. So people born, mostly the November born Sagittarius, mostly the February born Gemini, sorry, the February born Pisces, the May born Gemini, and the August born Virgos, Sun ascendant, Sun in Virgo, or Sun in Gemini, or Sun in Sagittarius or Pisces. Or those of you who have in one of those four signs, the Moon or the Ascendant, from 0 to around 8-9 degrees. Especially from 0 to 6 degrees, they'll feel it the most intense. And from 6 to 9-10 degrees, they'll feel it only towards the end of the year, very shortly, for a month or two, so they can probably get away more easily with the lessons of Saturn. In 2016, those of you who feel those lessons that I'll talk about, that Saturn will give, those of you Sagittarius who are born from around the 1st, 2nd of December to around the 11th of December. Those of you Virgos who are born from around the 1st, 2nd of September to around the 13th of September. This is 2016. You are feeling Saturn, the things that I'm going to be talking. You are not going to be feeling for the next 3 years. If you're born from around the 1st, 2nd of September to around the 13th of September, you feel it in 2016. If you're Gemini, if you're born from around 2nd, 3rd of June to around the 10th of June, you feel it in 2016. Pisces, from around the 1st of March to around 9th, 10th of March. And then 2017, or basically if you have your Ascendant or Moon, from around 10 to around 20 degrees. You feel it in 2016. 10 to 20 degrees in any of those four signs. Or those of you who are Gemini, who are born, will feel it in 2016, who are born from around the 2017. Those of you who are born from around the Sagittarius, let's start. 2017 Sagittarius will feel it. Those of you who are born from around the 11th to around the 21st of December. Those of you who are Virgo, who are born from around the 13th to around the 23rd of September, you feel it in 2017. And those of you Gemini who are born from around the 10th to around the 23rd of June, so the last days of Gemini. Or those of you Pisces who are born from around the 11th to around the 21st of March, you feel it in 2017. Or basically if you have your Ascendant or Moon in the last 10 degrees of any of those. So what happens when you have a Saturn transit in your life? These are kind of a pivotal moments in life. These are moments when you take some cardinal decisions usually, because Saturn is about maturing and taking more responsibility. And if you're resisting this responsibility, and extra duties will be brought to you from outside, like a pressure from others, like a pressure from society, from a partner, from a career, from a boss, to kind of sober up, to buckle up the belt and get serious and mature and get down to work. Or sometimes it can come from within, this inner push, which is the best way, when the inner push from turning a corner, to getting more serious, to becoming more mature and taking up more responsibilities, not in every areas of life, but in certain areas of life. It depends if it's your ascendant sign that Saturn is aspecting. It might have to do with career or personal life. If it's the moon sign, it's usually to do with property, with family, with personal life and emotional relationships. And parents, if it's with the sun, it's to do with career, with goals, with your ambitions, with your, might be even the ascendant is physical body, extra responsibilities and duty for physical body, maybe a new workout regime, maybe a better, more mature attitude towards your body, maybe more responsibilities like a better routines and regimes when it's the ascendant. The sun and the moon as well can bring this, because they all rule a little bit of the physical body. But the ascendant is the most. The moon is more centered towards emotional responsibilities with family, with personal life, turning a corner in personal life. And either you are given responsibilities from outside, maybe you buy a property, so now you have a lot more responsibilities and you feel pressure, to pay the bills and to maintain, to be a homeowner, or maybe you, maybe owning a property becomes more difficult, becomes more testing as well. Or if it's the sun, it's something to do with your career. You are given more responsibilities. You are given, either you take them yourself. For example, when I had Saturn transit my sun, for 2 years, this is when I developed my astrology business and when I worked hard without seeing the results yet. It was a lot of hard work with very slow results because Saturn is a slowing down influence. So when it aspects the Sun in particular, the Moon or Ascendant, it kind of tends to slow the affairs. It requires you to put more effort, but you don't see immediately the results. The results usually come after the year of the Saturn transit. So it depends if you're born in the first half, in the second, in the first third, in the second third, or the last third, whether you're going to feel this extra push and need for more demands on you and more responsibilities in your life, in personal, career, or professional, outer, for about a year, you're going to have this period when you're pushing harder, and it's like trying to, to build foundations in that area of your life, or to give a birth to something new. And as always, it's painful and it's difficult. As with every birth, it requires a lot of pushing and and you need to keep up your moral high, because people tend to get a bit overwhelmed when Saturn is around, because it brings these new responsibilities, especially if they're unwanted ones. If they're wanted ones, a person has a meaning. The person has the purpose. And this, even though Saturn will definitely bring extra responsibilities in different areas of life, these responsibilities feel like a necessary evil, and they're even welcomed. And the person knows what they're working for and where they're heading. And this is especially true if these extra responsibilities and blockages and delays that Saturn brings are in regards to something we very much treasure and love and want for this thing to stay in our life. For example, if it's a career, because the Sun often, when Saturn aspects the Sun, it's something to do with our goals and our career, our role, social role in life, which is we do it through our career or our self-image in a sense. Then usually, if we are in a career which we don't give 100%, which is not really our calling, which is not something that will put all the necessary work, when Saturn comes around, we receive more pressure there and more dissatisfaction. And the more pressure that we get from this career or position in life or role we play in life, if it's not truly the role we're meant to be on and the path we're meant to be on, we do not give the 100% that Saturn requires for the 1 year while it's aspecting your Sun. We do not fully give because if you're not fully invested emotionally in something, if you're not very much dedicated to something, then you'd abandon it. This is not what your soul truly wants. This is so the things that fall away from your life, because Saturn often takes away things from our life. Relationships, if it's aspect with the Moon or the Ascendant, the Sun, even with the Sun sometimes it can be relationship, careers, ambitions, goals, and if they are unrealistic, or if they are in some way broken down already and unsupportive of our further goals in life, of the higher purpose of our soul, Saturn will take those away. And not like Saturn comes and takes those away and punishes you. It's due to the fact that when Saturn is around, it requires so much hard work to make something work. It's a testing period for your loyalty, whether it's a relationship or goal or whatever. And if you're not fully invested in that relationship or in that whatever it is, goal or something that Saturn is testing in your life or career, then you feel overwhelmed with the responsibilities and you'll find it's unrealistic for you and you cannot really cope with those extra responsibilities, so you let it go or it's taken away from you. But don't regret it if it's taken away from you, because obviously you didn't have the full soul dedication with it, obviously, and believe that there is always a silver lining down the line. So maybe later on, maybe a year or two from now, after Saturn deprives you of something that you think it's important now for you, but actually you didn't put enough dedication into it, then it means, if Saturn has deprived you, it means that the universe has prepared for you something better down the line, something that will be much more emotionally invested in, something that your soul will identify so strongly with that whenever after that there are tests, if there are the tests, you do your best. But sometimes with relationships in particular, it doesn't always work like that, because you might really love someone and be invested and work very hard on the relationship, but the other person might not have enough love for you, might be taken on a different path. So With personal life matters, it's a bit more difficult. But when it's about a career that Saturn changes, usually it's either we get disappointed with that path and those goals in our lives and we leave them behind, and we restructure our path and our plan, and we move into a different direction, or it's taken away from us. And when Saturn aspects the moon, it often changes of residence, changes with the family that we do, something, if there were problems that were seething with family or in your personal life, they come to the surface and they become very intense for that 1 year. So you deal with them, resolve them, and move on after 1 year. Or if they're unresolvable, you have to change something in a big way into your life, in regards to those matters that are being challenged while Saturn is around. But it's testing time. And only looking at your specific horoscope can say what area exactly is going to be testing time for. I said generally the Sun is with goals, with where you're heading in life, with your self-confidence, with your career. The Moon is more with personal matters, emotional, family, and financial. It can be the Moon as well. And the Ascendant is overall your health, physical body, path in life, self-confidence again. It can be with career and relationships. The Ascendant is everything, can be everything. But definitely for depending what degrees or the days you're born, for about 1 year you have this testing period. And my advice for you is you have to work hard when Saturn is around. If you really want to keep something in your life, whether it's a relationship, whether it's a career, you need to give it your best and take these extra responsibilities, and Saturn rewards you. If you've been able to fulfill those extra responsibilities, then you've passed through the test of Saturn, which is about 1 year. Then you become even more committed and dedicated, and the love in the relationship grows. Or you get such great recognition, it entailed more responsibilities, but the payoff of a Saturn well-done period is tremendous. It's very stable and long-lasting. It's your reputation or status can be impacted in a powerful, positive way if you've worked very hard and persistently during this year, even though it was very testing. And people often in the middle of a Saturn transit call me and say, oh, I feel so depressed, I feel negative, I don't think there is a way out of this, why is this happening, everything I'm trying to do, there is like a blockage there. And these are some of the manifestations of Saturn. You just need to be patient and you keep believing and doing step by step, little by little, every day. Don't try not to project too much what the result will be when you're gonna do it. Just what Saturn requires is be a good worker and do everything. Or if a relationship is being tested, just try and give everything, try and work on it. And if something is supposed to break down, you just don't have the energy or the nerves to deal with it, so you leave it, you abandon it, or it moves away from your life. So these are like Saturn periods are turning moments in life where we chop off the dead wood, where the universe helps us chop off the dead wood. And if we're resisting chopping off the dead wood that's slowing us down, it takes it by force away. So it can be painful. And when it brings you new responsibilities, which can feel a little bit more like life is a drudgery while Saturn is around, you don't have much time for fun, you don't have much time for the things you usually like to do. If you're someone who naturally works hard, if you're someone who is naturally responsible, then you're in your own waters. Even if Saturn slows down certain things, gives you more responsibilities, tests certain things in your life, you're kind of already very realistic and practical and mature. You have a mature approach. You don't expect miracles, so you take it in your stride and you deal with that energy very well. Capricorns usually, people with strong Capricorns usually deal very well, or Saturn naturally strong in their horoscope with Saturn. But if you know yourself, if you're naturally responsible and serious, you kind of know how to deal better with those energies. And Saturn never surprises you, let's say. Saturn is something that's been building up for a while. And when its transit comes for about 1 year, you kind of knew that it was brewing up. You kind of knew those extra responsibilities will come. Or you knew there'll be a breakup. Or you felt that things are not going well in your career, you're dissatisfied. And when Saturn comes around, you finally make the change. For example, let me give you a very fresh example. Saturn just suspected my partner's son, which is career, and he found out that he's not getting a promotion from the place he's working in. He was very disappointed. So he applied for jobs in another company and he got twice as big salary. So this disappointment that Saturn brought him with the first work, within 3 months turned into such a positive thing and into a change, because the dissatisfaction which Saturn brings, dissatisfaction, some blockage, some breakdown sometimes, some testing, you can turn it into something positive. He could have stayed in his company and just felt repressed and unhappy and unappreciated like he felt for the first couple of months when he found out. But instead he changed the direction. So Saturn requires you go in, you feel something's not working well, and it really escalates when you're having the Saturn transit. So you kind of derail, you change, you restructure something, you find a new job, or change something about how you treat your partner, or change something about whatever responsibilities you're having. And this is, you act for it in a mature way, you work hard, you don't go into a depression, because often when people have Saturn transit, they can get into a fit. For 9 months, they can, some of them, and I do not blame them. I was depressed when I had a Saturn transit. I worked very hard, but I wasn't feeling so much joy, because Saturn suppresses the ability to feel excited. If Saturn aspects the moon, it's your ability to feel supported, and feelings feel dried up, and the person feels lonelier. Even if they're in the middle of a relationship, they might feel lonely. They might feel unsupported by others. If it's the ascendant sign, the overall image and physical body of the person, new beginning in life. The sun sign is their confidence, their career, I don't want to repeat myself. If it's your Venus, definitely relationships are being tested, definitely. And if you overcome the Saturn transit, then this relationship is solid. This relationship is based on mutual love, and it brings you closer together. But often a relationship will break up during Saturn, and the person knows it somehow. The person expects it. It's been brewing for a little bit. You start feeling the difficulties. These difficulties escalate while Saturn aspects Venus. So one way to overcome the pessimistic moods that Saturn tends to bring, because Saturn lowers vibration, the vibration of any planet. The sun is feeling joyful. The sun is shining your light, feeling confident. Saturn makes you feel, doubt yourself, am I going to be able to deal with this? Is it within my capacity? Especially younger people feel Saturn very powerfully, because Saturn is this planet of responsibility, being serious, taking life seriously, doing the things from the long tested path rather than taking shortcuts. While you're having Saturn transits, no shortcuts. This is the surest way for you to have a fall back, a fall down, a crash like Saturn can do. If you're trying to cheat, if you're trying to be clever, if you're trying to outwit fate, if you're trying to take the shorter and faster road, no, the long and hard and with personal effort. You're relying on yourself when Saturn is around. You can receive emotional support from here and there or some other support, but you're mainly relying on yourself and on your own skill. Don't think you can overcome this hurdle by waiting for a miracle. It's just with personal effort, with rationality and kind of more objective look. So it's also a reality wake-up call when Saturn comes around, because it's this a little bit more pessimistic planet. In the extreme, it can get bring pessimism, but in a more positive scale, when Saturn is around, it gives us objectivity, like a reality check in regards to events in our life. If it's Venus that Saturn aspects, reality check with your relationships. Maybe find out maybe your spouse was cheating, or maybe you've been allowing people to take advantage of you so much, and now you realize, you start waking up and seeing it. Or maybe you've always fell for the unreliable men or women, and then you have a reality checkup and you're saying, wow, I chose someone like that, now I have to change the pattern. If it's with the sun, it's reality check in regards to your goals and careers and ambitions and confidence and your personal authority. If it's the moon, it's often relationships, emotional issue, reality check there. But often these are difficult lessons where we're tested. Don't expect it to be an easy ride, but don't expect it to crash you either. People feel more down. Everyone gets Saturn periods in their life. People who are naturally more susceptible to depression would feel it definitely stronger while Saturn is around, will feel the depressive, negative feelings, because the person feels overwhelmed, as I said, sometimes with the responsibilities, duties, so the lowering of vibration. How can you raise your vibration? There is remedies while Saturn is around. cut off red meat. If possible, eat fresh fruits and vegetables because they raise the vibration. Meat and cooked foods lower the vibration. So raise up your vibration with some food, with some fresh salads, light food, and especially fruits that have the color of the sun. Because the sun counteracts the energy of Saturn, which is freezing, which is slowing down, which is too much of a reality check. Too much of realism turns into pessimism. And you want to counteract that. So you raise up your vibration eating oranges, mandarins, anything orange, yellow, that is natural and fresh, grapefruits and things like that can raise the vibration, and watching the sun directly. That's another way to overcome Saturn doldrums and kind of depressions. Focus, watch the sun directly when it raises or when it sets down for 10-15 minutes. This is the fastest way to raise your vibration, or expose your back on the sunlight. Get more sunlight. This raises the vibration. And do some exercise. Raises the vibration. Drink red wine. Raises the vibration. But if you drink too much red wine, then it depresses you further. So you have to be a little bit of, So what Saturn requires is get real, get mature, start working hard. Don't waste your time anymore. The people start feeling they're older when they have Saturn transit. They start feeling there is not enough time. I have to hurry up. Because I have to, if I want to be doing the things I want in my life, if I want to be successful, if I want to reach my goals, I have to do this and this. And so definitely Saturn raises this awareness of time is ticking. I'm getting old, and often people might feel unattractive or less confident, more hard on themselves. The inner critic becomes so powerful when Saturn is around. But again, it's temporary. It just comes there, so you become more serious, more organized. Even the depressed feelings, they're there, so you're hard on yourself, so you kick yourself in the butt and do something, the things that you are not happy with, that you change them. Because if we didn't get those moments, we would never change anything. So yes, responsibility, maturity, taking the long and tested path is the best advice for me. And yes, you'll come out on the other side, don't worry. And then you receive your fantastic award from Saturn. If you've passed your test well, if you worked hard, or even if you survived some loss of something and you managed to pick yourself up again, you receive a great award after that. Thank you.